Welcome to a quick demo of the TripHut dApp, which is currently running on the preview testnet. So in order to get started, we just need to make sure that we have the Eternal wallet installed. That's currently the only supported wallet. And we also need to ensure that it is connected to the preview testnet. So we can see that down here. If you're on a different network, just go ahead and click in the bottom left, select preview. And then afterwards, we'll go back and get connected. We'll just grant access. And so at this point, we can actually go ahead and submit a travel request. This is just for testing purposes, just to showcase the different functions. So I'm going to go ahead and just enter some sample information here. The date range here for the travel request, I'm just going to put for next week. And then any valid YouTube URL should work for the video link. We'll go ahead and submit that. And this will just take a moment to build the transaction, and then we'll need to just basically sign and submit. Okay, so I'm entering my spending password. We'll go ahead and sign that. And great, we see the confirmation here that it's been submitted. And so at this point, if we scroll down a little bit, as you can see, I rickrolled everybody here with the video link, but we can ignore that. And we'll see the details for what we just submitted, along with votes. All right, so the votes at this point, it's still processing the initial transaction, so we're seeing a spinner. But in a moment, that should pop up with essentially 0 votes. So just give that a moment. In fact, while we're waiting for that to finish loading, what I'm going to do is just go back to the home page. And I'm going to go to a hidden admin route. All right, so I've just added /admin at the end here. And this will allow us to actually get a voting pass. This is an NFT that grants the capability of actually voting on these travel requests. All right, so I'll go ahead and just issue one of these to myself. And again, this is just for testing purposes. Under normal circumstances, somebody would purchase this NFT. I still got my password here, so go ahead and submit. Okay, perfect. So that'll take just a moment to appear in my wallet. And I'll go back here and we'll just switch over on the community dropdown to the vote page. We're going to find what we just submitted. So in this case, if you see other, these are previous proposals that have been submitted. The ones that are currently active will have the check and X options here. And each one of these is set to just have a very narrow window where they're active. So the voting phase is only for about 10 minutes. So it is important to just, for testing purposes, go in and actually do any votes during that window. In fact, within the first 5 minutes, because there is a buffer period essentially of 5 minutes as well where the voting stops being processed. So I'll just go ahead and cast a vote. Now, normally this would be other wallets. They're coming here and are either approving or rejecting, casting whichever vote. In my case, just for testing purposes, I'm using the same wallet. So I'm going to cast a vote in favor. And at this point, it may take a little bit just to build that transaction. And yeah, we've seen that pop up here. So we can see that it is using that vote pass. And I will go ahead and enter my spending password and sign that. Great, so we see the confirmation. It's been cast successfully. Now, we'll just have to wait at this point for the voting window to close before we can really proceed. So if you wanted to do more testing, of course, if you had other wallets that also had the vote pass, you could test adding more votes in favor or against. But you won't see the actual votes update live until they've been counted. And so the counting happens essentially after the proposal, basically after the voting window has closed. So we're just going to take a break and come right back. Okay, so we're back after the voting window has officially closed. And at this point, we actually have this count votes option. So I'll go ahead and click that. And so this particular transaction is having to do a bit more work than the prior ones. This is somewhat dependent on the number of votes, but even with the single vote, you may notice that it takes a little bit longer than the previous transactions. So we can just hold for a moment, give it time to finish building. Okay, so it's finished building the transaction. I'm just going to go ahead and get my spending password. Okay, go ahead and sign that transaction. And we see confirmation that it was submitted successfully, but we'll just have to wait, of course, for the actual blockchain indexing to complete. So we'll give that another moment, and there it is. Okay, so we see now the one vote that was cast. This was a vote in favor. So in this case, because the final outcome is essentially a successful vote, we can actually send funds from the Treasury to pay out for this travel request. So when we click the Send Funds button, we should see in the transaction details that there is indeed a payout. And I'll go ahead and sign that. And there we go. Requested funds paid successfully from the Treasury. All right, and that completes the full cycle. We've showcased submitting travel requests, voting on those requests, counting the votes, and finally paying out from the Treasury. We can, of course, go into our wallet and inspect any of these transactions to see anything in more detail. But that concludes the high-level overview of all the functionality. Thank you for watching.